I'm going to hit record.
Okay.
The MLS Advantage is where you can search all of the MLSs. Okay. You don't have to be signed up with this or that or whatever the case may be. It's a little bit more challenging to send properties to people because they don't make it easy.
Okay.
So Florida, FloridaRealtors.org. There we go. There it is. FloridaRealtors.org. Okay. You might have to do a little bit of whatever to figure it out. Jack, turn that down a little bit, honey. Okay. Because you'll have like a separate login password. Like mine's 2374377. I have no idea where that comes from. My MLS ID is 375013012. So it doesn't correlate or correspond to anything. I don't remember how I found out that number, but at the end of the day, you can call the Florida Realtor Association and I'm sure they can provide that number. If you don't know it, but if you've never accessed it, I would suspect you don't know it, right?
I don't.
Yeah. So with this, you can search any zip code, any property address, anything like that. Now, you know, most people are like, oh, I got, you know, I got Redfin, I got this, I got that, I got the other thing, right? And that's how I'm going to do it. Okay. And that's fine.
Yeah.
But this, you can look up, like if you have a property in Miami, obviously you can use Realtor, you can use Redfin and be like, hey, yeah, cool. Let me check it out and whatever. Because what I would do is partner, if I were you in this situation, is I would partner, right, with a person in Miami and just be like, hey, you know, so they get a little, you get a little, right? And you don't lose the sale altogether, right?
Okay.
Say, all right, look, you know, this is my lead. If they buy from you, you know, it'll be 75-25 split or whatever the case may be, 70-30, whatever you set up, right?
So you recommend to have somebody there?
Yeah, for sure. Because I don't want to drive 4 hours to go show a property. I mean, you could use Showami. Do you know about Showami?
Yes.
Okay. So you could use Showami, right? And it just makes it harder to like, this cannot set up a safe search. Okay. You just have to go in every day. Go ahead.
I was thinking to drive because they are not here. You know, they are not gonna be like, hey, show me this and show me that, and let's go this weekend, let's go next weekend. So that was the reason that I was like, no, I can just go, but it makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah, I mean, if you use Showami, you might pay like $50 to $100 for a showing. It's like, I know you drive an electric car, so it's like you're not going to be spending, you know, this amount, X amount on gas or anything like that. But the problem is like, there's still wear and tear, right? You're going to do $50 to $75 worth of wear and tear just driving back and forth to Miami, right? Don't get me wrong. I always love an excuse to go to Miami, you know, like I'll make the best of it. My kids will go with me to the beach and this and that and the other thing. But yeah, so you can plug in the property address, you can search and see what co-op they offer, the showing instructions, this and that and the other thing. It won't show like attachments. So you have to reach out to the individual agent and say, hey, can you send me the seller's disclosure? Oh, that's on the MLS. I'm not part of your MLS. I can't see it. Can you send it to me, please? All right. That's normally what they will say. We got something in the chat here. What is the showing agency? Showami. I'm not endorsing it. It's not vetted by HomeSmart or anything like that. I personally never used it. I've shown up to different things that that they've used Showami, right? And yeah, you know, so I know agents in HomeSmart have used it. To me, this is what I think, right? Why do you have a real estate license? What is the legal definition of why you need a real estate license?
To show houses.
Nope. It's to perform real estate services for others for compensation. And you can legally only be paid by your broker. So, is Showami your broker? Nope. So I don't consent or condone. I know people are using it and it's going to be used. I'm just saying that's a tool in your toolbox. So far, nothing has come down from the state or anything like that saying you cannot use this or this has to go through your broker. Okay, but people do BPOs and stuff like that, broker price opinions, and they'll get paid direct too. So I don't want to like get into the logistics or the legalities of that or anything like that. For now, it seems like it's fine, but I would be cautious about receiving payments from it. Okay, that's all. All right. Let's go to the task at hand. It's 10:07. I like to start 5 minutes after or so. Before I go on to the contract training, does anyone have any questions about the MLS Advantage? I know some people jumped in midstream on this. So does anyone have any questions about the MLS Advantage, how it works, what it is? Nope. Very cool. All right. So I know Andrea is going to tell us all about it. She's going to give us a little summary. Go ahead, Andrea. Go ahead. Recap it for everyone. Let's go. Michelle Massengale, come on. Nobody? Did my mic go out? Can nobody hear me? No?
Yes, we can hear you.
All right, good stuff. Okay, so everyone knows what this is. I don't need to explain it. We're all good, right? Yes.
I've never used it, so if you can give a 10-second.
Yeah. So for example, why would you use this, right? So my in-laws were purchasing a property in Port St. Lucie, which my MLS does not cover, right? Now I have a little bit different access, but I'm talking about when I was just a regular agent, right? Now I got access to all the corporate MLSs. Please don't call me if you need access. I will give it to you because I got enough hours in the day for that. But this is a way that you can look up any property. So let's say they find something on Realtor.com and they're like, hey, can you show this to me? Now for me, Port St. Lucie is 2 hours or so away. Like for my in-laws, I know they're going to be loyal to me, right? They've bought 4, 5, 6 or so, bought and sold like 4, 5, 6 properties with me and my wife, right? So I know they're not going to, go off and do something else, right? Like, this would be for like an A+ kind of contact, right? Not just like an internet lead that you're going to run out and drive 2 hours to show a property. Like, please don't do that. That's such a waste of your time and energy and everything like that. Okay. But let's say there's something just slightly out of your MLS range, right? It's an hour away. It's 45 minutes away. It's still something you're willing to go and show. Okay. So we can look up the property address. Let's say it's 1234 Main Street, right? The generic one. And then what I do here is I do 1/100th of a mile because it's going to do a distance around that. You need the zip code. It won't let you get away without it. So then you hit search, and of course nothing's going to come up because it's a fictitious address, right? But it'll show the listing. You double click on it. You can scroll through the pictures. The only thing you really can't see is the attachments, right? But you can see the co-op. You can see the showing instructions. Typically, for the most part, it's showing time, and I just go to my showing time app because I can't schedule it through showing time through this. Okay, just go through the showing time app, put the MLS number in, it auto populates. I can schedule showing that way. Okay, so this is not ideal. You can do a CMA through this, right? It's got CMA at the top. It's very clunky though. I advise you to like play around with it. But it's not as user friendly. It doesn't have as many tools as our regular MLS. Again,
what was that 1/100th thing in the search? That
because it won't. Yeah, the 1/100th. That's a good question. It won't find the actual address. Okay.
Oh, I see.
It'll look around that address.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so if I plug in the actual address and then I just hit search with the default is 1 mile. So it's going to show you 1 mile around that property.
Okay, cool.
Okay, so if you haven't used it, go in here, play around with it, because there's going to be somebody When I first came down here from Illinois, I had an Illinois client that was looking just outside. Now our MLS includes it, right? But I had a good client. I was selling their home in Illinois. I was helping them buy a home down here, and they were like in Brookville. So it was like an hour and a half. So I know, like, right, I'm selling their house. I know they're not going to flake on me, right? The relationship that I had and everything like that, like, they're my people. They're not going anywhere, right? So I felt confident in showing them homes, way outside of where I'd normally travel, right? And they were like, we're going to find a home this weekend. So it was like a 2-day, time span or whatever. So, I showed them, like, these are like 80-year-old people. I showed them like 20 homes one day. They were just exhausted, right? And then the next day I showed them a bunch of homes, and we found it and wrote it up, and it all worked out, right? But I was able to research and find the properties through this and set up all the showings through this, okay? So again, not something I would recommend on a regular basis, right? If you find yourself going to, a different MLS on a regular basis, it might be worthwhile to pay for that MLS, just MLS only, right?
Right.
Okay.
Are you able, if there's someone outside, will the seller's agent ever like do a Zoom call, like, or not a Zoom, like a FaceTime with you if you're, like, say very far away and they don't want to drive out, or probably not?
It's going to be on a case-by-case basis. Personally, I get really annoyed when people do that. I'm like, either go through Showami, or, get off your ass and go show it. Like, you shouldn't be clients that you're not willing to go show, or you're not willing to make arrangements for. Like, don't ask me to do your job without giving me a cut.
Makes sense.
That's
Yep.
personally how I feel, right? Like, I got a listing over here in Winter Park. It's 10 minutes away from the office. It's 30 minutes away from my house. Somebody asked me, and I'm like, really? Like, no. And sometimes they'll say, oh, I'm out of town. I'm like, okay, 25% referral fee. I'll take care of it for you. No problem.
Sounds good. Thanks.
Okay. Cherie said,
I
make
have a
sure.
question. Can I please? The MLS, is it area restricted? As in, if you buy in the greater Tampa area, does that exclude you from Pasco or the West Pasco real estate MLS? I'm confused as to what areas you're allowed to look at.
Let's circle back to this, because people came here for the contract training, right? We got a little off topic during the chit chat, and I want to give you as much value, as much knowledge as I can in a very short amount of time. But I also don't want people to show up for contract training and then we take 30 minutes to just get to contract training. Okay, is that fair?
Yeah, sure. It was just a question that popped to mind. Absolutely.
I got you. Just pop it into the chat, or just write it down, and we'll discuss it at the end. Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Not a problem. Cherie said, make sure you request an MLS Realtor copy of the listing to prove your commission. I know agents who this has been an issue with. So if you type in the proper address, you should be able to see the MLS cooperating compensation, right? And that's why you're supposed to turn over the pending MLS sheet as well. Okay, so you could definitely reach out to the listing agent, request that. I'm sure that wouldn't be a problem. But you should be able to access it through this system as well. Okay. All right. So without further ado, you can also see my screen. So that's awesome. Okay. First thing I want to talk about is escalation clauses. Who doesn't like an escalation clause? Jack said he doesn't. He's like, nope, I don't like no escalation clause. Okay, well, I'm waiting for this to come up. Michelle Massengill started telling me something. What were you saying, Michelle? Michelle, I know you're there. I know you're not multitasking. Michelle, did you jump out? You're like, I don't want to learn about Mls Advantage. I'm out. Deuces. Okay, I personally use form simplicity. Some people use transaction desk. You can use whatever you want. Less is more, all right? So I think it's called like, well, Escalation Addendum 2 contract. So you can type all that out, but if you mess it up a little bit, nothing's gonna come out. So escalation or addendum or contract should probably pull it up. A contract will pull up a lot of other results, and addendum is gonna pull up a lot of other results. Okay, we got something in the chat. It says, is Emily, oh, there you go. That's Andrea's question for later. Cool. Thank you, Andrea. I appreciate that. Okay. Excuse me. All right, so this is the escalation addendum. Okay, so the first thing is you have to put in the buyer's offer. Now this auto populates because this was my buyer's offer, okay, or is my buyer's offer. This is an accepted contract. Okay, so this is to be left alone, right? This is the current purchase price that you're offering. Okay, so it's not the escalated up to purchase price you're offering. This is the current purchase price you're offering. Okay. And this feeds off of the as is contract. Okay. Now you got all these different options here. You got the residential contract for sale and purchase, FAR, right? You got the contract for residential sale and purchase, CRISP. Okay. Commercial contract, vacant land contract. So this escalation addendum can be used with any of those 5 different contracts. Okay. But in this case, for the most part, what's applicable for all of these is the as is, because that's probably 85 to 95% of the time is what you're going to be using depending on your region. Okay, buyers to complete this section. Buyer agrees that the purchase price shall increase by escalation amount. Okay, so if it's something like 204, I like to do typically 1% or around 1%, because $1,000 here might not get it done. The old escalation form used to be $1,000 increments. Okay, this one is left open. All right, you could do $2,000 increments, you could do $2,500 increments. What I tell people is put yourself in the seller's shoes. Okay, if it's the difference between $1,000 or, you know, accepting another offer, what is really going to motivate you? Just $1,000? Most people are like, I'm selling a $500,000 home. This one is a little bit stronger as far as, you know, the finance. Maybe they're putting 20% down as opposed to your client's putting 10% down. Still conventional, right? But these people are putting 20% down. $1,000 probably wouldn't get it done, right? In that case, I would probably put a $5,000 because it's a $500,000 home, right? 5,000 might go, oh, you know what? Let's go with the person who's putting the less money down, but is giving us more in purchase price. Okay, which brings us to the next part. So $5,000, let's say we'll just do it to this offer. So it's $204,000, okay, is the offered purchase price. We're going to put $2,000 increments, okay? The purchase price set forth, competing offer up to. So this is the maximum purchase price they're willing to do. So again, we're at 204. That's the offered purchase price. My client's willing to go up to 215, $2,000 increments. Okay. Now I know you're sitting there going, well, hey, Jeremy, it's 204. You say 215, but that's not $2,000 increments, right? That's the max purchase price. So if somebody else offers 211, then Michelle, what does it automatically go to? If it's 211 in this scenario, is the second best offer. All right, Michelle jumped off. She's like, I don't like your MLS Advantage talk. We're not gonna stay on that for that. Maddie, what does it automatically jump to if we're at 211 for the second best offer? The second best offer is 211, right? What does it automatically jump to? You got to unmute, Maddie. Come on, you can do it. Hit that space bar.
Does 213, is it just $2,000 increments?
Yeah, this is not hard. This is not hard.
Yeah.
But I just want to make sure you guys understand it, right? Conceptually. John, what if the second best offer is 214? What does it automatically jump to?
215.
Yes, sir, because the max amount is 215. Okay, so it doesn't always have to be in $2,000 increments, right? It could be in $1,000 increment if that's where the max is. Yeah. Not a hard concept, but I want to make sure you understand it. Okay. All right, Maddie, I like your background there. That's pretty cool. I want to be working out there. That sounds good. Okay, let's go on to the next portion. Okay, so at closing, the buyer shall pay cash to cover the applicable escalation amount. Buyer proof of funds is attached to this offer. Okay, so very, very simple. So it's basically saying, and then option 2 is, are they financing the additional amount? Okay, if it's an all cash offer, obviously option A is going to be the one to select. If it's a financed offer, it could be option A or option B. Okay, option A is just, let's use real math. Okay, so if it's $215,000 and the initial offer price is 204, okay, it escalates up to the full amount of 215. How are we covering that $11,000 difference? Are they bringing, right, in addition to their closing costs, down payment, are they bringing another 11 grand? If so, give me a proof of funds in addition to the pre-approval letter. Okay. Option B, buyer is seeking financing for applicable escalation amount. Did we have a question? Okay, option B, buyer is seeking financing for applicable escalation amount. Buyer should verify the ability for financing escalation amount with the lender. Now, I don't really think that's necessary if it's within their pre-approval amount, right? If it exceeds their pre-approval amount, of course, you want to get an updated pre-approval, okay? This is what I do when I work with buyers, okay? A lot of times my lender will give me, even experienced lenders, my lender will give me a pre-approval letter for $400,000. And I'll call them up and say, is that the absolute max that they can afford? And they'll say, no, that's what they want to be pre-approved for. I said, okay, can you give me a letter for their absolute max that they can afford? Why would this be appropriate, Renee? Why would you want something like that?
Can I chime in?
Yeah, Faith, go ahead.
Hello?
Sorry, I was multitasking.
Yeah,
Oh,
well,
poorly. Okay.
we don't usually do the total amount until we actually see that we've got to go over, but most of the time I ask them just for a pre-approval amount at the asking price, the 215.
Ooh, thank you,
So you
Faith.
want,
Thank you.
Mhm.
I appreciate an experienced agent like yourself bringing this up, because, and I'm gonna tell you why I do things differently. Okay. Why I do it differently. Let's say you have 2 offers in front of you. You're the listing agent. Okay. Buyer number 1 is pre-approved up to $475,000. And let's say it's this. Let's say it's this right here. Okay. They're buying this up to 215. Okay. Buyer number 2 is pre-approved for 215. All other things are the same. I'm going, buyer number 2 can barely afford this. The loan might get denied. Buyer number 1, they're pre-approved up to 475. They're going to get approved like that. We should go with buyer number 1. Right, Jill?
So this is because of the market that we're in.
This is because of the market we've been in since 2008. I've been doing this since 2008. Because I want to put my buyer's best foot forward. Do you really want to claim broke? Well, my client can't go any higher, and that's the best they can do. This maxes them out. No, my buyer's choosing to pay up to 215. They're pre-approved, they're well qualified. What's the negative? What's the negative here with putting your best foot forward and saying, hey, we can afford this amount, but guess what? We're only buying something at 215.
Okay.
All right. What are your thoughts on that, Chairs? Sharice, excuse me, Sharice. Sharice, can you hear me? Come on, guys. I got to keep you on your toes. Let's go. Unmute.
She says, I agree in the chat.
Yeah, oh, she's chatting, huh? I see how it is. I see. She's got a jackhammer in the background, like she's got her earbuds in. She's like, I can't unmute. I can't unmute. Sorry, I'm gonna give you more as normal. Okay, cool. She agrees.
So-
Awesome.
And the
Can I
other
ask a-
factors not come into play.
Say that again, Andrea.
Well, I understand what you say about the stronger buyer who has 475. However, if the seller has agreed at 215 and the person who only has been approved for 215 may be in a better position to move. So why would you not then go for the buyer who's only being approved at 215? It's the agreed sales price. So I know the 475 is stronger, but why would you automatically exclude someone who's already been approved as well as for the 215 for the asking price?
This is a great question, Andrea. Thank you so much for bringing it up. And the reason being is, and as you get in this business longer and you're doing this longer, the bottom line is not all loans get approved. Okay, so I can have someone that I've selected. For instance, I just had an offer for my listing on Shane in Winter Park, $415,000. They were approved, I think a little bit over that, but not much, maybe 425, maybe 435 or something like that, right? And we just found out today that their loan got denied. Now, unfortunately, they weren't competing with anybody, right? It was just the one offer. That's all we received. So we went ahead with that. Now that offer got denied. Who do you think your client's going to blame if that offer gets denied and there's multiple offers on the table? If you're the listing agent, who do you think the seller is going to blame?
Possibly the listing agent.
Yeah, you. That's right. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
You should have known better. Somehow you should have used your crystal ball and predicted which offer was going to make it to the finish line. Right? In the meantime, your seller has lost marketing time, has lost perceived loss, right? Has lost potentially that purchase price because we might need to lower the purchase price, right? They've lost the money they've paid on the mortgage if it's been on a contract for 10 or 15 or 20 days, right? Because a lot of these properties are vacant, this one included that I'm talking about right here, okay? So you have to be very careful because it could be the difference between your person listing with somebody else, wanting to cancel the listing with you, right? And I know you're thinking, hey, but we got a contract. Yeah. But if they want out, there's not much you could do about it. Okay, we could hold it to them. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, I understand. I was working on the assumption that they had been approved for 215, and I thought if someone was approved for less than the 475, but they were in a better position to move and move quickly, why would you not go with someone who has been approved at 215? And then the seller is happy to accept 215.
Right. Sharice said it's always our fault. It's always our fault. So, and she's right. She's right. It always, like I'm working with, the reason I got that Winter Park one is I'm working with an investment firm, right? These are real estate agents. Every single person, almost every single person who works for the company is a licensed realtor. right? They're all experienced. They've all listed and sold and this and that and the other thing. And they came back on me when the loan got denied and they're like, oh, we were counting on that. And I'm like, so what?
Yeah.
Why? Why would you be counting on that? You should count on that when the closing happens. When everything is signed, when everything is done, that's when you should count on it, right? They did the home inspection. They had one request that the AC be repaired because I guess it wasn't working during the home inspection. And we said, yep, no problem. We'll take care of that. Didn't fight, didn't push back, nothing. And then loan denial comes through. Like,
Yeah.
So it's like, what can you do, right? Yeah, it's always our fault, right? So you better be ready, right? Especially if it's a multiple offer situation and 2 or 3 offers, and you're like, you know what, you guys, I think we should go with this one. But I always give the disclaimer, but at the end of the day, you're the boss. You tell me what to do. I'm just recommending this one because it's got the highest pre-approval amount.
Hey,
Right.
Yeah. Gotcha.
Can I ask a question about this escalation addendum? So is this basically just creating an auction like for yourself? So if someone outbid you, then you will go up to that amount? Is that how this is?
Exactly. Great question, Chris. Thank you. You know, sometimes I just forget to explain and stuff like that. So yes, this automatically escalates. So you beat out other offers automatically. Okay. So let's say you're not competing, which I think it would be foolish to assume that you're going to be competing when you submit an offer.
Mhm.
Okay. Every offer I write up today is my highest and best every single time because I know you don't get a second shot, right?
Right.
They used to back in the day go back to you and say, hey, we got multiple offers, give us your highest and best. Now they'll just take something and run with it. That's it. You don't get a second shot. So I always tell my people, go in with your highest and best.
So can I use this to underbid? Like if I think maybe there won't be something
Yes.
at asking, can I
Yes.
put it at 15K under and just with 2K increments all the way up to whatever
Yes.
in the range that I'm
Absolutely.
done?
But remember what I said, 2000, like it's dependent, right? I would recommend you do 1% increases. Okay. So if
Right.
it's $400,000 property, $4,000 increments. At the end of the day, it's your buyer's choice. They get to choose, right? But this is, I go in and I say, this is what I recommend, right? Escalating up to, you know, X
But if
amount.
I'm coming in like paying all cash for something
Uh-huh.
and I do everything else to be the most competitive, like won't it at the end of the day come down to whatever is the highest bid at that point, or are there other factors?
Not necessarily, right? Again, I want you to put your seller's hat on, okay?
Mhm.
And you do it like this, okay? Any offer can fall through, right? We all know this. Any financed offer can fall through,
Right.
okay? Any financed offer can fall through. Hey, you can't drink this. This is not yours, okay? We'll just leave it there for now. Just stay here. Where's my phone? Okay, goodbye. Just don't want you to misplace it, okay? All right, so any finance offer could fall through. So if I get a cash offer, especially with no home inspection contingency, right? No appraisal contingency, nothing, right? I'm going with that one. I'm recommending that one. But you might have a finance offer. This is the trick with using the escalation clause with a cash offer. They could still escalate it up to whatever, right? They have to prove it. They have to show it, right? Down here in a little bit, I'm going to show you where they have to prove it, okay? So,
Okay.
so there could be a higher financed offer, but maybe your ceiling for this is lower, but they decide to go with your cash offer because it's a cash offer. Okay?
Well,
Yep, go ahead.
so you said this only applies to cat. Can this apply to? Can you say I only want to escalate with cash offers, or
I don't think so.
can you specify that, or no?
I guess you could write it in somewhere. right? Escalation is only applicable to other cash offers,
Got it.
you know. I guess just write it in somewhere. There's really no spot for
Is
it.
there a premium that you put on cash offers? So like they're worth 10K more, or is it just?
No, it's that warm and fuzzy, that certainty, right?
Yep.
I remember during 2008, maybe 2009, I had $22,000 worth of closings happening. And in Illinois, I was not in a part of an area with a high dollar amount. So I think this was like 8 different transactions. The bottom line is only half of the commission came in that I was expecting. So out of 22,000, 11 came in.
Well,
Because the rest just fell apart because of financing, right? We're in a much, much different market, right? This was back when they were eliminating stated loan income and this and that, right? It was, yeah. So you couldn't rely on the commission dollars you had coming in. Now a transaction falling apart is few and far between. Okay. I would say it probably happens maybe, to me, 15 to 20% of the time on the high side. Maybe it's closer to 10. It's rare. Once I get a property under contract, it typically goes to the finish line.
yeah, I guess with these kind of contracts, other than being kind of unethical, what's stopping them from saying, hey, we have one of these escalation clauses, having their friend write in an offer for right below it?
Say that again, Chris. I don't know if I understand the question.
So I'm saying I'll pay up to $300K with $2,000 increments. What's stopping them from having their friend write in an offer for $298?
I think,
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. If you do that and somebody rats you out later, like your license is gone. You might spend time in jail, like you could get fines, you could be paying damages. Like that's, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm positive as we're having this conversation, I'm positive people do that today.
Yeah.
Think they're going to get away with it forever, but there's always a paper trail. There's always,
unless there's like they're real. I mean, they could have their friends write real offers. They're actually, but yeah, I guess just hope for the best. But no.
yeah. Sharice, this is funny. I like Eminem too. So she said you only get one shot. Do not miss a chance to go. So no such thing as a county anymore. Yeah. Gosh. All right, so moving on with this because I still want to cover appraisal gap and we're running out of time. Okay, so now down here, okay, so we covered A and B. Now we're, if neither box is checked, then A shall be deemed selected seller to complete this section. So the seller listing agent, right? They don't mean the actual seller. They mean the listing agent to complete this section, right? Seller agrees to revise the purchase price calculated as competing offer purchase price escalation amount not to exceed the maximum purchase price. So this is where they put in, this is what the actual agreed upon price is. Okay, because just because you put the max amounts up to 215 doesn't mean it's actually going to escalate up to 215, right? So then the second best offer, right, was 214. It's 215. Second best offer was 211. It's 213. So then you write it in there. Okay, whatever the agreed upon purchase price is. Let's say it was 211. So we got 213 is now the right amount. Okay, and it could also be an odd amount, right? Maybe the other offer was 211 475. Okay, so then it's 213 475. Okay, seller shall provide a copy of the competing offer with the competing buyer's identity redacted. Okay, at or prior to the time of the seller's acceptance or counter buyer offer in writing. So that means you have to provide the second best offer with the buyer's identity redacted. Easy peasy. And this down here is, I'm not going to read this all to you. This down here is just the buyer's acknowledgement, right? That they understand what this is and they have the funds to cover it and everything like that. Just kind of CYA kind of stuff. Okay. All right. I'm done with this. I'm going to move on to escalation clauses. Wait, this is an escalation clause. I'm going to move on to appraisal gap information. Okay. Yeah. Imagine y'all said, yeah. Okay, cool. All right, let's go to blank forms. Oh, well, I just need an as is contract actually, because there's no actual form for this. Okay, now I did have an agent come to me once upon a time and said, hey, I got a form from another agent with an appraisal gap. It's got all the verbiage in there. I don't have to type it out. It's cool. I said, awesome, send it over to me. And she sent it over to me. And guess what it didn't have at the bottom? John, what did it not have at the bottom? Tell me. I know you know.
Some kind of Board of Realtor certification.
Yes, FAR bar, Board of Realtors, anything like that. Why can I not use that?
Because you're not an attorney.
Yeah, you're not an attorney. You're not a party to the contract. You can't use unsanctioned documents, if you will. Okay, so right down here. Okay, see all this verbiage down here? Florida Realtors, Florida Bar, as is, all that fun stuff right there. That's what should be at the bottom of every single document you use. If you're using something that's not like that, you should have not written it up. And you should not be using it. If your client brings it to you and says, I want you to use this. Okay, great. That's different. That's okay. You're not providing the document. Okay. But keep that email. Okay. Keep that email. Because if that ever comes back to bite you, you can go, hey, this email right down here, this is, we talked about this. They sent it over. This is the proof. So I have a filing system in any of my emails, right? I have 3 different emails that I maintain. And I mean, if an agent sends me an email, I keep it, right? If Jamie Glover sends me an email back in February, I can pull it up. I can look it up, right? Even emails from my wife right here, Janice Porter. There you go. Okay. So every single, if I'm working with a buyer, it's their name. If I'm working with a seller, it's the property address. Okay. You don't have to do this. This is CYA stuff, okay? But if you say, hey, Jeremy, you never responded to an email that I sent you on, I can pull up your name and I can look it up because I never delete it, okay? I'm gonna run out of storage eventually and I'll have to pay for storage, but I think that's better than not being able to, prove what happened, right? Okay, obviously I don't have a lot of properties in this email. But yeah, this right here is my in-laws property. And this is my corporate email, my company email, right? It's not the one I use for real estate, right? For real estate transactions. Okay, anyway, here we go. So escalation clause. I'm trying to think of what contract I actually have. Oh, that escalated, but it doesn't matter. Or not escalate. I keep saying escalation. Appraisal gap. Okay, so on paragraph 20, under the additional information, let's go up. Okay, right here, additional terms. Okay, buyer agrees to pay up to, let's give something realistic, $15,000 over the appraised value, not to exceed the purchase price. That's what I actually write. Okay, but I sometimes spell it properly. Okay, that's it. Now, let's talk about what this is. Okay, number one, I still have an appraisal if it's a conventional loan, I still have an appraisal contingency in place. Okay, it's just saying the buyer agrees to pay up to $15,000 over the appraised value, not to exceed the purchase price. Now, does this automatically mean that if it appraises low, let's say, let's use the example that we're using now, 204. Okay, the agreed upon price is 204. And it appraises out for 150. Does that automatically mean that the seller is going to come down to 165? I'm not going to answer this. I want y'all to answer this.
No, it doesn't mean that.
All right. Who is that? Was that Brenda?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. So let's say it appraises at 165, Brenda. What happens then?
Then you would renegotiate the price with the seller.
Okay. Hypothetically, what they don't want to come down. They don't want to come down to 165. What could happen? Give me the different examples. Okay.
Somebody else can answer that.
I respect that. That's cool. John, can you help us out?
The buyer can pay the difference, but it can't be borrowed.
Yep. Okay, what else? There's, as I see it, there's 3, maybe 4 different outcomes here.
You have a meeting of the minds somewhere in between, negotiate it.
So meaning, right, seller comes down, maybe it's not 165, maybe it's 170, maybe it's 175, right? At the end of the day, this is the, if I'm working for the buyer, at the end of the day, this is the conversation I'm having with the listing agent. I'm saying, look, you ain't getting any more, right? This appraised out, right? You had multiple offers. We were the highest and best, okay? Please talk to your client. We want to get this wrapped up. They want to get paid. You want to get paid. I want to get paid, right? Buyer still wants the property. They're willing to pay $15,000 over what the market says this property is worth in this market. That's great. Celebrate. That's awesome, right? But let's get this wrapped up. Okay, if I'm working for the listing agent, right? If I'm working as the listing agent, excuse me, I'm saying, look, you know, my client, get another appraisal, right? This appraiser stinks. They didn't use the right comps here. Send over these comps. These comps justify the purchase price of 204. It should have never appraised at 150. This is ridiculous. Get another appraiser, otherwise we're going to walk. And we're going to put it back on the market and we'll take some other offer. Because this appraiser doesn't know anything. Let's say the appraisal is justified. And look, they're not going to take 165. Can you guys come up to 175, right? With my client's consent, you know, knowing that they'll come down to 175, because I don't want to be negotiating for nothing. Right? Typically, you don't, in this price range, 204, right? If you ran a CMA, it shouldn't be this big of a gap. Okay, I know we got some newer agents on this call, so can somebody tell me what a CMA is?
It's a comparative market analysis.
Comparative market analysis.
Yes, thank you. So that means a comparable market analysis. It's not an appraisal because we're not licensed appraisers. We can't ever say we're doing an appraisal for the property. We can't ever say, I mean, for lack of better terminology, when I'm talking to a buyer, I say it's similar to an appraisal. This is the actual stuff that an appraiser is going to use to make their assumption. Because a lot of people don't understand what a comparative market analysis is. Okay, they understand what an appraisal is, right? Or if I don't use the word appraisal or appraise or anything like that, or appraiser, I'll just say this is to help evaluate what the sale price should be. Okay, so all buyer's agents should do a CMA, comparative market analysis, before you write up the offer, because you want to know if there's going to be a problem with the appraisal before they know. right? That's being an educated professional. That's practicing due diligence. That's looking out for your client's best interest, for the transaction's best interest as well, because you want it to close, right? You want to get paid. Okay. Escalation clause.
I have a question about escalation clause. Buyer agrees to pay up to 15,000. Is there a certain amount that, you know, we should think about each time, or standard amount?
I typically go as high as my client is willing to go. Okay.
Gotcha. Okay, that's me too.
You know, sometimes 10% is enough to get it done. Sometimes 5,000 is enough to get it done, you know? So I say to my client like this, like, number one, what's your capital like? I don't need to know everything you got in your account and everything like that. I write out the numbers. I go, okay, you're FHA, so you're putting 6.5% down. How'd I come up with 6.5%? 3.5% for the down payment, right? 3% for closing costs. Is this exact? No, it's just a good rule of thumb. Okay. Most of the time when there's like an HOA capital contribution, when you know, lender fees, appraisal, taxes, title fees, everything like that, all go into the closing costs, right? Typically, I see that it doesn't exceed 3%. Okay. If the purchase price is higher, meaning 1.5 million, for an example, it's typically not going to be anywhere near 3%. It might be closer to like 1%. Okay. But typically I'm typically within the $200,000 to $500,000 price range. So this is a good rule of thumb for that. Okay. So then I'll add it up. Like, let's say in this particular case, I'll say, hey, I just want to make sure that we're going up to 215, right? That's the number we've been talking about all day. And that you have well, yeah, I'll typically do that. $13,975 plus $600 for the appraisal. That's the fee, right, for the appraisal. And then at least $500 for the home inspection. Yeah. So then I want them to at least probably have, in this particular case scenario, around $15,000 in reserve. Okay. And they're like, yep, no problem. I got that. Cool. So how much above are you willing to go? Like, how much more than 15,000 do you have to throw at the appraisal contingency or the appraisal gap? Appraisal contingency. Anyway, appraisal gap. And maybe they're like, I got about 20. Okay, cool. You're gonna have moving expenses, right? Get them to think ahead, right? Because you know all this stuff, or you will know all this stuff, right? Get them to think ahead. You're gonna have moving expenses. You're gonna have a rent, you know, a box truck, get some movers. That's gonna cost some money, right? Well, I got some more checks coming in. I can say that. That's no problem. That's no problem. I can do that. That's no problem. Okay, cool. So in this particular case, maybe they're willing to do 5,000 over the appraised value. Again, the lower the purchase price, sometimes the easier it is to get it done, unless it's a hot property, right? I've done $30,000 appraisal gaps on a $300,000 property, still not gotten it done. I was competing against cash offers, so, but yeah, that's pretty much all I got for you on this, unless there's more questions. But I did want to open it up for questions. Andrea had a question that I didn't answer earlier. Andrea, let me go back to it. Okay, where'd we go? There we go. Okay, is MLS region specific as which one you should join? Okay, so I'm part of ORA, right? Orlando Regional Realtor Association. and it uses Stellar MLS. Okay.
Mhm.
So mine
Yeah.
covers all the way out to Tampa, all the way up to Volusia County, but not
Oh,
Cocoa Beach. Okay. Cocoa Beach, Melbourne Beach. There's even some other MLSs in there. We got Daytona Beach MLS and then Space Coast MLS. Right. So myself and my wife choose to be part of Daytona Beach MLS and Space Coast MLS, which covers, Cocoa Beach and whatnot. So yeah, it could be weird sometimes. Like Naples has a different MLS and this and that. And I don't want you to confuse it with different boards. Okay. But for instance, the example I was giving earlier was Port St. Lucie. Okay. Port St. Lucie is not in Stellar MLS. So we had to use the MLS Advantage to set up showings and to see what the co-op was. Because, there's some shady agents out there. I would say 95% of them are great and ethical and whatnot, but it's the 5% you got to look out for. So anytime we'd get a property under contract, we would, print up that MLS that shows the co-op, right? To make sure that we got it in there. Okay, do you have specific language for the gap language that you can share? Yes, it's on the screen right now, Jill. Okay, so let's get rid of all this. This is what I do for the appraisal gap. Buyer agrees to pay up to X amount over the appraised value, not to exceed the purchase price. Thank you. You're welcome. Okay, any other questions, comments, concerns, mean things to say to my face?
Yeah, so the two main things we talked about was the appraisal gap and also the escalation clause.
Yep.
Are there any other main items if you want your offer to be really competitive that we didn't talk about?
That's a good question, Chris. I like you. Okay, so let me go. This is going to take a couple minutes beyond 11 o'clock. So if you got to jump off, jump off. Okay. All right. So
this is coming from I tried to make a really competitive offer and they took another one. So just trying to know all the tricks you have.
Yeah. I could give you a few more, but I can't guarantee that that's going to work.
Yeah.
Cash is king. Cash is king in this market, right? The investor I'm working with is right here, AJX Homes FL, right? And I'm going in all cash, no appraisal contingency, no home inspection, nothing. And I get about 1 out of every 5 offers I write. It takes me a while to write 5 offers, meaning they're always at or above asking price. If it's not even asking price, I don't even bother writing it up. Okay. So I don't lowball with this group or anything like that. Okay.
Is there any chance that they just don't want to go with the investment firm? They the seller is just like a family and they hate investment companies?
It could be.
Yeah.
It could be. I can't control that. So I don't worry about that. Okay.
All
right. So purchase price, in this case, they were offering 201. This is an REO, just to give you a little background. All right. Earnest money, $10,000. If it's a true cash offer, they use hard money loans. But if it's true cash offer, I typically say put 10% down. Right. And some REOs want that. If you make a cash offer, 10% down. Okay. Same standard over here. I always do 3 days to turn over the earnest money, title company. Right. Paula Parker Williams was on. We were talking about just different things to make your offer more competitive. This is a great one. Additional deposit to be delivered to the escrow agent within. So let's say within 10 days, you're going to do another $10,000, and then you still got your 20, right? You still got your 10%, if you will, but then you're doing 10 before the home inspection, 10 after. But the offers I typically recommend to my clients is no home inspection, right? Let me explain. I don't recommend to my clients to waive their home inspection rights. Okay. I say to make your offers more competitive, you could waive your home inspection rights. You still legally have a right to do a home inspection, and you can. Okay, it's in the bottom of the contract, I think line 571 or something like that. Acceptance. I've tried multiple ways. Doing a quick acceptance, like, hey, here's an all cash, quick acceptance, yada, yada, yada. Okay. Sometimes they don't care. They'll be like, meh, I said the deadline is this. We're not going to make a decision before that. That's that. Okay. Closing date in this particular case, you know, again, if it's vacant, right? What I always do when I'm writing up an offer with an occupied property, I'll call them and say, what's important to your client? Do they need post-closing possession? Is there anything above and beyond? Is there anything above and beyond just terms, right? Earnest money, home inspection, purchase price that is important to your client, right? Especially occupied. Well, they want 30 days post-closing possession. Got it. We'll do it for free. We'll pay the title insurance as well. Okay, that's another thing that you can give them, another $2,000 to $3,000. That's not going to show up on the appraisal, right? Okay, may not assign. Okay, so over here, right, you got may assign. That typically to me, and be released from any further obligation under this contract. That typically to me, like that sets off a red flag. Like it's a to assign deal. It's a wholesaler, it's a flipper or something like that. That they're just looking to flip it to somebody else before they close it, right? I want an actual buyer who, hey, if you want to assign, go ahead. But I want you fully liable under this agreement. So if this box is checked, no. I say no, let's reject it, right? If this box is checked, okay, that's fine. If this box is checked, that's normal. That's somebody's buying it in their own name, you know, for their personal use. Okay, great. Cash, no financial contingency, okay? The other option over here, right? And this is nothing ninja like I do. I just fill this out when it's a finance offer, but I make sure both are not checked. Okay. What else? Okay, I'll leave that alone. Okay, so here, so line 168, line 172. Buyer shall designate closing agent and pay for the owner's policy and changes or charges for the closing services related to the buyer lender policy endorsed and loan closing or blah, 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 right? So this is basically saying your buyer is paying for the seller's title insurance policy, okay? That's gonna save them probably $2,000 to $3,000. This one right here is saying seller's paying for theirs, buyer's paying for theirs. So this button right here, it's taking $2,000 to $3,000 off of the seller's shoulders, right? And that's something I would write into the email because I always break down the email when I send it over to them. I say, closing, you know, purchase price is this, earnest money is this, closing date is this. They're willing to pay the title, you know, seller's title insurance policy, so that's going to save them another $2,000 to $3,000 right there. You know, so on and so forth. Okay. Special assessment. I typically check this to protect my buyers because there is a special assessment or something like that you know, unless it's agreed upon to, you know, just paid in installments and then the buyer's going to take that over. I mean, it depends on which that one, what's applicable in that, right? In that situation, right? Home inspection, don't do 15 days. I recommend you do not do over 7 days. Okay. And some people are like, well, what if I can't get my home inspector there in 7 days? Great, write up an extension. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. that's pretty much it. I'm trying to think of anything else that I do. Nope, that's pretty much it. If you're using the escalation clause, escalation addendum to the contract, write in escalation addendum. Right? I think it's 2 contract. Either way, whatever it says on the escalation addendum, write that in. There is no box. Okay. And the appraisal gap, this is the words that I use. Buyer agrees to pay up to $5,000 over the appraised value, but not to exceed the purchase price. Okay. Because I've had sellers go, oh, wait a minute. Not sellers, buyers. Oh, wait a minute. I don't want to pay above, $215. Right. This is not to exceed the purchase price. Okay, where do you find your recordings of the trainings? They're really helpful. Oh, you're so kind, Andrea. You're my new best friend. Okay, so let's go over here.
Yeah.
So if I have invited you to the trainings, then winner, chicken dinner. Now, I typically don't do this until orientation, which for you, Miss Andrea, is today at noon. Okay, so I just come over here because I don't want to invite you to it and you're like, what is this? So if you haven't done orientation, we're doing it today between noon and 2, okay? But once you get it, if you have a Gmail, this is how you access it. If you don't have a Gmail, I'm sorry, I don't know other than going back to the original email I sent you, okay? So you just click on these little 9 dots up here, okay? Go to your docs, and then it should be down here. Okay, and then everything that's recorded keeps getting added. We got 3 pages of recordings right now, which I think is so cool. Like this to me geeks me out. I'm like, look at all the stuff we've covered so far. So yeah. So we're gonna put the contract training from today right down here. Okay, so let's say, hey, it's Saturday. I'm out with my family or something like that, and you need to know how to write up a contract. Okay, great. Do Control F and do as is. Okay, it's got 5 different videos. Well, you just look at the different description, right? So this one is with the attorney helping write it up. It's not write it up, but explain it, right? It's long. It's 4+ hours long. Okay. So, but let's say you just want like the quick, how do I write it up in 1 hour? Writing up an as-is offer explained 1 hour. Man, what a great resource. Okay. Let's say you want to learn about CMAs. Let's say you want to learn about listing agreement. Okay. And again, we have 4 different videos, right? So we got listing agreement session 1, listing agreement session 2, listing agreement session 3, listing agreement in 1 hour. Okay, I'm not going to explain it. I'm just going to, this is what I put here. This is what I put here, right? To go through it in an hour is not a real detailed explanation. If you want a detailed explanation, go through the session 1, 2, 3. Okay. What else? Let's say you want to mask your URL. So that when you go to your HomeSmart, hold on, this is in my way. Gotta move this down here. Okay, so I don't use a fancy website or anything like that. It's homesbyjeremyandjanice.com. Okay, and this is my HomeSmart website. Okay, this is part of the things we teach you in orientation. Okay, not masking because it's a separate little thing, and it takes like 5. If you watch the video, I think it takes like 10 minutes to explain. But I'm going to show you in orientation like how to do this. Like normally people don't have their pictures in their bio. It's super simple. Like these are properties that have sold. Me and my family are very much a part of the business. Janice, she's a realtor as well. My kids come with me to showings and sometimes to the office, right, Jack? That's right. He just winked at me. I didn't even know you could do that. We got the Zillow reviews down here. This is some of the stuff I teach during orientation. Okay. So, so yeah, if you haven't been to orientation, please just come. It's the same link that you used to get to this meeting right here. Yes, I will share the videos with you, Chris. Do me a favor, Chris. No, I'll just grab it right now. Okay, cool. All right. I'm gonna leave you all because I got to jump onto an 11:15 Zoom with Home Smarties. Okay. Thank you all for attending. And as always, go out there and sell a house today. What are you waiting for? Come on now. Let's go. All right.
Thanks.
Bye, everyone.
Great.
For coming.
Thank you.